Twitter removes policy against misgendering users. Twitter has quietly removed specific protections against targeted misgendering and deadnaming from its hateful conduct policy, as spotted by the nonprofit organization Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, GLAAD. According to the Wayback Machine, the inclusion of misgendering and deadnaming was removed on April 8th, the day after Twitter announced it had updated the policy to clarify how it defines targeted harassment. The company had initially adjusted the same policy back in 2018 to better clarify that its protections against abuse applied to misgendering and deadnaming. GLAAD describes the adjustments as the latest example of just how unsafe the company is for users and advertisers alike. End quote. Sadly, this change doesn't come as much of a surprise with Elon Musk at the helm of Twitter. Musk has espoused transphobic ideologies and implemented a policy that brings transphobic users and other controversial figures back onto Twitter. Last year, Musk's daughter, who is trans, reportedly cut ties with her father. Its hateful conduct policy still explicitly prohibits attacking others based on race, ethnicity, national origin, caste, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious affiliation, age, disability, or serious disease. But the choice to intentionally remove all mention of misgendering and deadnaming seems like a calculated jab at the trans community. You know, when I look at the United States position in the world, I seem to remember having a moral authority and taking a look at which countries were following human rights, and that would be how we made trade decisions and relationship decisions. Are we becoming kind of a second-class country where now other people are going to go, yeah, you're not buying Swiss chocolate because you guys don't even know how to treat your own people. I think this is embarrassing, but it's really just a symptom of a larger backlash towards our community and trying to erase us.
Listen, the second that they allowed derogatory and bashing on Twitter, FayWhat got the F out, okay? I left my Twitter account right then and there, and I posted about it on my Facebook, okay? All you folks should do the same, okay? And you Tesla owners also should be if you're gay and you're driving a Tesla, you should go look in the mirror and have a deep conversation with yourself, all right? I get it, cute cars, but not worth it. I mean, you are literally putting that money into Elon Musk's pocket, and the guy he hates us, okay? And it is a direct jab at the trans community. It totally is. So that's why we should not be supporting Twitter at all, even gay Twitter.
It's not a place for any kind of real discussion where research is used or people are open to learning and everything. It has just become a place where people bark at each other. And I got the hell out right when you did.
Yeah. Well, and to a certain extent, that's social media in general. But on an extreme level, and certainly it's leading the way. But here's the problem. Twitter to me is almost like a public utility at this point, because last week during the flood that we've just talked about, Wilton Manors police were using their Twitter handle to notify people in real time. Do not come down this street. It is flooded in 2 feet of water. Wilton Manors police rescued people trapped in cars. They had 3 calls, which is a lot for a 2-mile square city in a 24-hour period. But they could have had twice that many or 3 times that many if people weren't being updated through Twitter. So as hateful and terrible as their conduct is and their vision is, we also have to accept that at least social media, and at the current moment, Twitter is it can be a force for good. But Elon Musk is the tool.
But we can't rely on that for any kind of communication that is like a public communication. NPR has taken off all of its comments and accounts on Twitter just because of how they were labeled. There was another government-funded kind of knowledge information base that have just removed themselves as well. So as we remove ourselves, unfortunately, it's getting more and more biased in a bad way.
Well, Elon Musk is showing his hand. Before he took over Twitter, even maybe a year or 2 ago, he was still looked at as this new innovator. He's the SpaceX kind of thing. He's the guy that we should be having on all the talk shows. We should be interviewing him on 60 Minutes. And he's showing what a hateful jerk he is and how phobic he is of everything. But honestly, I don't feel like he actually cares as much about that. I think that he is trying to get in with the Republican Party. I think he's trying to get in with Donald Trump, with all of these supporters, so he can increase his power. And to your point, I mean, all these things, policies, it's not just the dead naming. Before with NPR, it was, and I just pulled it up just to make sure I got it right, which is government-funded media, which is the label you put on propaganda outlets in Russia, in China, and they put it on our own American NPR, which is one of the most reliable sources of information. And of course, that playbook of, make sure you don't get people to distrust the media, which is part of that kind of communistic, playbook. So I think that everybody should jump off of Twitter. I think it's a horrible place. And it just reminds me of a heated conversation we had a couple weeks ago on one of the shows about, do we trust China with TikTok and our information? Do we trust Americans more? You can see where it's going with our own media in our own country.
Well, for sure. Yeah.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.